You have a quorum?
Okay, it's unmuted now.
Okay, let's just wait for the signal to come out. Sure.
You guys have a quorum?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wonderful. I don't feel so bad. Don't get me wrong, I feel bad, but that's
Not
okay.
that bad.
Not that
You're
bad.
not, that's why you're excused to be remote.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we start, I just want to let everyone know that this is being recorded and anything that is said in chat or spoken
Should not be said in the chat.
could be for in a future date.
Nothing should be in the chat, but you should shut it down. They have copies down there. No, not that I have it here again.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming back to our hopefully a little longer version of bylaws committee meeting. Last time we had stopped, we were just going through the reading of the existing bylaws. And we stopped at Article 3, if memory serves correctly. And that is Article 3, officers. Okay, subsection 1 is the officers of the community board shall be chair, first vice chair, second vice chair, treasurer, and secretary. Each officer shall perform such duties as hereinafter set forth and enumerated in accordance with these bylaws and accepted rules of parliamentary procedure. Subsection 2, election of officers will occur on even-numbered years at a general board meeting to be held in June. The election procedures outlined below apply to even-numbered years only. The term of office for each officer shall be a period of 2 years commencing on July 1st and ending on June 30th of the second year. An officer may be re-elected to the same position for a maximum of 2 consecutive terms. Now, we'll be going back over this section because there were some suggestions to change this a little bit. Subsection 3, at the March board meeting, the board chair will ask for volunteers to serve on the ad hoc nominating committee consisting of 5 members. 2 additional volunteers beyond the first 5 will be treated as alternates, available to serve in the event that any of the first 5 members are unable to serve. Subsection 3, letter A, the members of the nominating committee shall vote to select the committee's chair. B, the nominating committee shall meet as often as necessary in order to identify 1 or more candidates for each of the offices captioned in subsection 1 above. C, the nominating committee shall actively encourage board members in good standing based on their attendance to become candidates. No member of the nominating committee may be a candidate for any office unless no other candidate for a given office emerges, in which case a member of the nominating committee may be nominated from the floor for such office. In such case, the member shall be automatically removed as a member of the nominating committee. D, the nominating committee shall make its report to the community board at the regular May meeting of the board and shall put forward 1 or more members for each position. Members of the board may offer additional nominees from the floor. All nominations from the floor must have oral confirmation by the nominee at the meeting. E, a written notice of all nominees suggested for community board offices, as well as nominees offered from the floor at the May meeting, shall be mailed or emailed to each member of the board prior to the election of officers at the June board meeting, along with a written statement of qualifications for office submitted by each candidate. All candidate statement shall be mailed or emailed with the notice of election to each board member, along with the announcement of the June board meeting. For 1 second. Letter F, there shall be no further nominations from the floor at the June meeting unless there is no nominee for an office. G, at the June meeting, the board, there shall be a tabulation of votes for each of the offices captioned in subsection 1 above. A person receiving majority of the votes cast for each office shall be elected. There's some questions there that we'll come back to as well. H, whenever there is more than one candidate for an office, each candidate for a contested office shall have 3 minutes at the June meeting to state why she or he wishes to serve and respond to questions from board members. Time limited at the discretion of the nominating committee chair. I, voting shall be by written paper ballot, which shall have inscribed on it the board member's name and signature. Votes shall be tabulated only by members of the nominating committee. The chair of the nominating committee will set the timeline for balloting, which will be listed on the agenda. J, if no person receives a majority of the votes, the 2 candidates receiving the most votes shall have a runoff election at that time. In the event of a tie vote, further votes will be taken until a candidate is elected at said election meeting. If there is only a single candidate for a given office, the board chair may direct the board secretary to cast 1 vote in favor of the candidate. And K, if for any reason an officer cannot fulfill their term, a special election will be held within 3 months of the departure to elect a replacement. The nominating committee will be reconvened in accordance with the procedures outlined above, and all election procedures herein will be followed within this 3-month time frame. Subsection 4 is the term of office for all offices shall be limited to 2 consecutive terms. We'll need to come back to that as well, as there were some other suggestions sent. Duties of the chair, subsection 5. A, to perform all duties as prescribed in the city charter and any other duties as prescribed under law. B, to receive calendars and notices of meetings for all agencies, all city agencies required to refer matters to the community boards pursuant to the city charter and to inform the board members of such calendars and notices. C, to attend any meetings required by the mayor and the borough president pursuant to the city charter, or to designate a representative or representatives to attend. To open regular monthly meetings at the time and date in which the board is to meet by taking the chair and calling the meeting to order. E, to announce the business before the board according to the agenda. F, to state and put to a vote all questions which are to be removed or necessarily arise in the course of the board's business and announce the result of the vote. G, to interpret and enforce along with the parliamentarian Robert's Rules of Orders, except as otherwise provided by the bylaws herein. H, to decide all questions of order. I, to represent and stand for the board and perform all necessary functions according to the decisions duly made by the board, including the communications of said decisions to the proper governmental agencies. Such communications shall be through the office of the borough president or sent directly to the appropriate governmental agency with a copy of same forwarded simultaneously to the office of the borough president. J, to authenticate all acts, orders, which needs fixing there. And proceedings of the board, including the countersigning of all letters of whatever nature going out from the board. K, to be sole spokesperson for the board in relation to the news media, agencies of the government, and the public at large, except as the chair shall otherwise specifically authorize. L, to adjourn regular monthly meetings in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order. M, to appoint and or remove chairs and or co-chairs of the standing committees of the board, and to establish and appoint and or remove chairs and or co-chairs and members of such committees or such special committees as may from time to time be deemed necessary for the best performance of the board's function. Appointments to committees shall be made for 1 year commencing in September, and the members thereof shall serve until September of the following year. N, to prepare and deliver the chair's annual report. O, to keep the officers informed of all information, orders, directives, and other matters coming to the chair's attention.
Do we submit questions now, or do you want to just wait till you go back to the section?
We have a bunch of questions that
Okay,
we
so
need
just
to
keep
go.
writing that?
Yeah, write it down, and when we go back. I also don't know if it's gonna make sense to read all the duties of all the officers. It's gonna take a long time. But I'll just finish with the chair. To keep the officers informed of all information, orders and directives, and other matters coming to the chair's attention. P, to provide direction to and oversight of the district manager. 1, to perform annual review of the district manager in January and recommend annual salary adjustments for officers' approval following full board approval. And 2, to recommend and oversee a process for recruiting and hiring a new district manager should the position become vacant. Q, to recommend to the board any changes in the number of category of staff positions. Subsection 6 describes the duties of the vice chairs. Subsection 7, the chair and vice chair shall be ex officio members of all committees of the board. Subsection 8 defines the duties of the treasurer. Subsection 9 describes the duties of the secretary. Subsection 10 talks about the vacancy of office. A, if the chair can no longer serve or is unable to serve as chair before the term of office has expired, the first vice chair shall succeed the chair until a special election is held within 3 months of the vacancy. B, if either the chair or the first vice chair is unable to serve, they shall be succeeded by the second vice chair, the secretary, and if the latter is unable to serve, they shall be succeeded by the treasurer. C, in the event the office's vice chairs, treasurer, or secretary become vacant, the chair shall appoint a replacement until a special election, which shall be held within 3 months of the vacancy. Article 4 is the removal of member or officer. There were some questions, so we can come back to that as we start the process from the beginning again, okay? Article 5 is the executive committee. And there were a bunch of questions here about Article 5 and Article 6 about the standing committees. So as in these bylaws, the standing committees are economic development, education, library and youth services, environment and sanitation, D, health, aging and social services, E, housing, F, land use, which is zoning, landmarks and planning, G, Parks and Recreation, H, Public Safety and Fire, I, Transportation, J, Resiliency, K, Interfaith. And I know that there were some questions about our committees. I have about three different people that had sent some questions about it, so we'll get into that also. Each committee shall have no less than 5 members and no more than 11, all of whom must be members of Community Board 13 or include up to 2 public members. There were some questions about that too, so we'll come back to that. And subsection 3, the chair shall appoint ad hoc committees as the need arises. We now go to Article 7. Which is titled the District Manager. I don't remember, Lucy, did you have something in here as well?
I'm sorry, give me a second.
Article 7, District Manager?
I just wanted, the suspension,
Okay,
it should be, we can put a minimum and a max on there. Even though the,
minimum and max on what?
of the suspension. A minimum of
Time?
that, yeah, time,
Okay,
so
so,
I could suggest that.
okay, so let's come back to that. Subsection 1 was about appointing district manager to suspension. 3 was discharge. 4, which I'll never understand, was facilities. Subsection 5 discusses the duties of the district manager. Okay, if there is. If anybody, I don't remember if anybody had any questions about that, but we'll certainly come back to that. Article 8 was about the meetings. Subsection 1 is about regular meetings, subsection 2, and I'm sorry, back to subsection 1. We discussed that we haven't been able to find Article 4 of the OLAF. So we probably need to change that to the section in the city charter, but we'll come back to that as well. Subsection 2 is about special meetings. Subsection 3 is about emergency meetings, about the time needed to give notice. Subsection 4 is about committee meetings. Article 9, agenda. We definitely need to make agenda neutral these days. For example, the second sentence was the agenda shall outline the board chairman's.
Yeah.
And so we need that, we need to clean that up a little bit. The agenda shall consist of the following: a public hearing, and then 1. There was again no document. Hold on. Want to check on the subsection 4.040 of the Department of City Planning. I'm not sure that there is a document that will take into consideration what we're trying to say here in number 1. B was presentations and speakers. C, business session. Again, we need to make sure that it's gender neutral. Article 10, voting. Voting shall be by roll call vote or written ballot unless the vote is a unanimous vote, in which case the secretary will cast one ballot upon behalf of all the voting members. B, all voting at the board meeting shall be in person only, except as prohibited by executive order of the mayor or governor, as may occur during a public emergency. And C, no proxy vote is permitted. Article 11 is amendments, and it explains the process on how to amend the bylaws. These bylaws may be amended by resolution of the board adopted after 2 consecutive regular meetings by a majority vote of the board at the 3rd consecutive meeting. The full text of the proposed amendment shall be included in the notice of each such meeting. Amendment shall take effect for the following community board term unless mandated by an oversight agency. Changes in these bylaws may be suggested by any member by submitting to the executive committee the proposed change in writing. We'll have to come back to this because there's some change, there's some thoughts about it as well. Article 12 is rules of order. The board may adopt such rules and regulations which it deems necessary to its individual operations, not in conflict with the New York City Charter. Subsection 2, Robert's Rules of Order shall govern all matters pertaining to parliamentary procedure that are not covered by these bylaws. The chair may appoint a parliamentarian who shall possess the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order at board meetings and who shall decide questions regarding rules of order. In subsection 3 is the chair may appoint a sergeant at arms to assist the chair in maintaining the decorum of board members at community board meetings. That's it. So now the work begins. We're starting with Article 1. Territorial limits. Certainly want to get rid of the pound sign. Where it says community board number 13, it's community board 13. Also at the top of the bylaws themselves. No, that's good. Never mind that. Sorry, Jack.
No.
Okay. Were there any other changes to Article 1 that anybody wants to make?
You said something about map adopted.
Said something about-
I wrote something. I
Or
wrote
any
something.
successive map adopted in accordance with section 2702 of the city charter.
That's it.
That's what I wrote in scribble.
Okay, we got that.
Okay, great. Article 2 membership. So do we want to vote, before we do we want to vote on each change? Each article, you do, just to get it out of the way?
Can we do like a straw poll and then like if you end this evening
Yeah,
with whatever article
Yeah.
you ended, we just do a whole vote on all.
I
Works?
would
Is that
suggest
good?
just we go through like Article 2. Does anybody have a problem with
Okay.
anything? If not,
Great.
go on. It would just be
Okay.
by,
Yeah,
omission.
Right.
yeah, that's what I.
That would
If
be the
that's good for
easiest
everybody,
way.
that's
Yep.
what we'll do.
Cool.
Okay, Article 2.
We did that.
Okay, Article 2 membership. Anybody have any changes they're considering? Hold on one second. A is good, B is good, C.
Excuse me, Michael,
Yep.
are you, the in section 3, article A, we had
We're not up
discussion,
to
We're on two.
we're on, oh, I'm so sorry.
We'll get there.
No, it's
Two.
a part of membership, right?
Yeah, Article 2, membership. is what we're doing.
Membership,
Yeah.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Not hearing any.
What about subsection 3,
Article 2, subsection 3.
responsibility of members?
Yeah, I have a problem with that.
Right, that's what I was saying.
Okay,
Subsection 3A. 3, and we had the discussion last week too.
right.
Yeah.
Be present for the final roll call.
Yeah.
Jeff, you had.
Yeah, okay,
Go ahead.
if you go to both, I think it affects both C and E. Where they have the excuse list. I looked at several community boards. And they have guardrails or defined. They have definitions of what an excuse should be. Especially on letter E. You're taking all that out and just, from what I understand, just having the excuse at the discretion of the chair. But if you look at the printed part of, this is the CV4 of Manhattan. I think it gives some guidelines as to not having the chair be the only person to give the absentee, the excuse. It sets some guidelines.
Okay.
Okay, and
Yeah,
I think it's important for us to have some kind of guidelines and define what the excuse should be. That's my opinion. You know, where it says Manhattan Borough President should be Brooklyn Borough Presidents.
so you're saying put all this instead of C.
Well, I would combine C and E together. I would combine C and E together. The general board meeting and the committees, and not just have the chair be the only one who can decide on what to excuse it or not.
Yeah, but you need the first sentence in E.
Yes,
You
Yes,
need
you
that
can-
to be somewhere.
yeah, but to combine,
The rest of it,
right, that's what I'm trying to say.
Even though at the end of the day. While you might get an excusal, you might get excused from the meeting, but it still counts as an absence according to the borough president.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
But we all know that another borough president's gonna come in and change his ruling. Maybe. Well, we had the last one that didn't care, and this one seems to wanna say this, and then the next one,
Yeah, into the fire.
yeah, the next one might
It's up
wanna
to,
say.
you know, what the consensus is of the
No,
board. I'm saying,
absolutely.
I'm saying that it should be, you know, some guardrails as not just the chair. The chair shouldn't be the only one who decides on the. That's what I'm trying to say. And according to C before, they seem to have the right on the mark.
Yeah, but, okay, I'm not arguing, you're right, I will tend to agree. Especially with what Lucy just said, depending upon who the next borough president is and which set of rules he wants to follow. And so on. But at the end, it still comes down to, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
It might.
So
It
this
might
will cover
matter,
itself.
but
Because,
when I have to know
No, an
what.
excuse, I don't mean what you're saying, what you're saying is dead on.
no, but the excuse might matter, cause maybe the next borough president's office will say an excuse is an excuse and not an excuse absence. So I
Okay.
I'm agreeing with Jeff on saying,
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing.
My
with you.
point is, just as an example. I had a conversation with legal on an issue. And this borough president says, follow your bylaws.
Right.
He didn't want to hear from anything else. He didn't want to hear from the charter. He didn't want to hear from this here. Follow your bylaws. So it can change, but at least we have some type of guideline. That's all I'm saying. Guardrails.
Anybody else?
Can I hear the proposed language? I
Oh,
just
I
hear
didn't-
combining.
I didn't make any proposed
Yeah.
language. I gave you an example.
Yeah,
Where are we putting this?
well, I like this.
Between
Okay, I'm just,
C,
you know, I gave you
Yes,
some
Steve.
example.
see, and then
And then we have to change E a
And-
little bit. We'll just add that to E with
yeah,
the existing first line in E.
so I would leave E first sentence.
I think you could leave E alone as long as you remove that sentence. The only exception shall be, just remove that entire section. And then.
And refer back to C.
And refer back to C, because it looks like it's redundant anyway.
That makes
Right.
sense.
Right.
Good with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Jack.
Jack,
Before I start typing, I would just respectfully suggest that we make these simpler rather than more complicated. There is no way you can anticipate what a future borough president is or isn't going to want to enforce. So the more simple you make this description, the better off we'll be. Guidelines, guardrails, whatever you want to call them. The bottom line is an excuse is an excuse. You're either excused or you're not. And that is truly all that matters. I don't really understand why we're looking for the bylaws to become a Bible of sorts. It's not the Bible, it's the bylaws. I've said my piece. Now, I will take direction as to how you want to reword these clauses. The chair recognizes the chair.
yeah,
No, I'm waiting for you to
the
recognize
the chair is reading.
it. When you finish, let me know.
Okay. Yeah,
So I hear what Jack is saying. But through the experience in my experience for the last 4 years, it's always been go back to your bylaws. And if it's not in your bylaws, then you gotta go to legal. And when you go to legal, you're sitting there for an hour, a year sometimes. And I think it's best to have the meat in the document than not to have it. Because through my experience, what I've been dealing with them, even with a situation that we recently had, I won't speak of it, but we had it. And we went to the bylaws and the bylaws were very iffy. And then they're like, okay, let's go to the legal department. And then that went through a few months. So if we would have had a little stronger wording in the bylaws, it probably wouldn't have gone that direction.
okay.
So I'm agreeing with adding. And I like the new wording.
Jack, were you able to see what Jeff,
I sent,
sent it
I
to?
sent it.
Yeah, Jeff sent a picture file. Item 2, excused absences. A board or
Yes.
committee member may blah, 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 blah. Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. So you basically want that transliterated into C?
C,
See,
subsection 3, C.
Okay.
The only change to that is the last line
Just say the borough president's office.
of the.
Obviously, the borough president's office.
Right,
I'm going to attempt to just type really fast so that I can get this in. Let's see.
okay. Yeah,
So reading that,
This
I understand that there is no more
Right.
chair
Will be severe
discretion.
personal, and it won't be
It's only-
proposed every time.
After the mandatory consultation with the board of presidents, so basically the board of presidents office will decide to excuse or not. The chair will have no say anymore.
no,
That's what it says.
No,
Maybe I don't understand. That it will be granted only in a very limited circumstances by the chairperson and only after consultation with the board of presidents office.
it doesn't say that the borough president is making the final
No,
the
I
final
understand
thing.
it, but the chair
It's leave
cannot,
of absence. It says leave of absence. That's different
okay,
than,
so
than
a leave
excuse.
of absence
what
is
about excuse, who's gonna decide?
The
to make-
chair.
Where's the-
chair.
But where's the language here? There
It's
is
in
no
the
language
beginning.
here.
Yeah, here on the top.
No,
It doesn't say the
Where it
chair.
says
is
only-
lead. You're right. It-
Doesn't say chair.
there is, yeah,
Directed by the
The whole
chairperson of the
thing.
given meeting.
I understand the legal absence.
Good
but
catch.
Unless you
Get
want to
fired,
keep
Jeff.
yourself. The powers, I don't know.
Good catch.
Because then you're giving it, Lucy, you're giving it to the chairperson of the given meeting,
Yeah.
which means it could be economic
No,
development,
then
it
no,
could be.
then no.
I mean, the
Yes,
the
yes, that's
sentence,
what
No,
it
no, I
says.
am
the
saying no, I
sentence
don't want
starts,
that.
a board or committee
Member.
member may.
Could
So
limit
it
it.
could, that should be changed to chairperson, the first sentence.
Yeah, so no,
Okay.
we want the chair, wanted to remain the chair of the board.
Board or
I
committee
mean, I
member.
would like that. I don't know what others.
And put that where? Board or committee member may be excused from attendance of board or committee meetings for limited reasons, including but not limited to.
Leave
So why
an
don't we-
experience
Then you have to
and
add or
absence
by
of
the
board
discretion of the chair. You gotta
Yeah,
clean it up a
after
little bit.
business, where it says board business, then
Mm-hmm.
it should go in there.
Chairperson.
Yeah.
of
It should-
The
it should
community
go
board,
Just to the
before
chair.
Leave of absence.
yes.
Yeah, the leave of absence is something
It's
different.
separate, so
Board
the
committee.
leave of absence should separate. Comes out with the consultation and before that, all this excuses by the
So-
agency.
it says it in there.
It's elected by the chairperson or given meeting.
Of the given
Oh, so then
meeting,
just take out of given meeting.
or
Yeah,
just say
but you're
of the
saying of the
community
given
board.
meeting, it could be
It says
any.
the
No, I'm
chairperson
saying
of-
take it off. I'm saying take off given
Yes,
meeting
That's all. Just
The
take that
chair.
out.
of the board,
All words.
this is why I play computer
of the
games.
board.
Or
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah. Chair of the board.
Jack, did you catch that?
I absolutely did not. Can you
Okay,
go through that
Yes.
one more time?
okay. A board or committee member may be excused from attendance at board or committee meetings for limited reasons, comma, including but not limited to for military service, for jury duty, in the event of severe personal illness or severe illness or death in the family or household, and absence on board business directed by the chair of the board. Now, that's not answering.
No,
it
that's
then.
not. After that, it should go by
No,
discretion of the chair or by discretion of the chair. And then the rest of the.
absence.
directed by the person.
Yeah, I'm just,
For the board business, it's basically the same as C. Requested of the chair, and then or by the discretion of the chair, and then the rest of the paragraph. And you put.
Right,
discretion of the
okay.
chair.
Okay,
Then the
could you,
second chair should be capitalized, referring to the chairman of the board.
yeah, Jack,
okay.
Well-
After death in the family or household and absence on board business, is that changing?
No,
absence on board business.
Directed
At the
by the
request-
chairperson of the
At-
given meeting?
No,
Request of the chair.
Chair of the board.
attending to board business at the request of the chair.
then you
Um,
do
or-
and
Or by, no, or by the, at the request of the chair, or by the discretion of the chair.
No,
Okay,
that the, or by discretion of the chair comes to the whole excuse. The entire.
say that again.
The same here. You have all the excuses,
At the
and
decision.
then, or
At the
member
discretion.
may be excused or by
Capital
the
chair.
discretion of the chair.
maybe
Here's the same, the board or committee member may be excused from attendance for those reasons or by discretion of the chair. It's basically the same C, you just need to add the last part of the C.
Okay. Absence on board business directed by the chair.
Or at the discretion of the chair?
We want to add just the last paragraph, the leave of absence.
Don't forget the leave of absence from, we're not even up to that yet. We're gonna get this one right.
Just see, we have it already, we have, it's all the same.
Okay.
Right, to board business, or
It's the
by,
same.
or do you want to put in something like special circumstances can be considered by the chairman?
Scenario, okay.
Yeah.
Attending to board business at the request of the chair or by the discretion of the chair, period. Next sentence, a leave of absence from attendance. No, then we take that out. A leave of absence, right.
Separate.
A leave, a leave of absence from attendance at the board or its committees will be granted only in very limited circumstances by the chairperson and only after consultation with the Brooklyn Borough President's office.
Is that really
That-
necessary? For the chair to consult with the borough president's office?
On a leave of absence?
On a leave of
Oh,
absence.
oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, we didn't have that in the other version,
I've been doing it anyway, but.
right?
And then you need it in,
Just in case.
you need it
No,
in
I'm just
writing.
saying.
No, the borough president won't do a hearing.
Listen,
Okay, so that's C.
That's C. You want me to read it back one more time?
Please.
A board or committee member may be excused from attendance at board or committee meetings for limited reasons, comma, including but not limited to, colon, for military service, comma, for jury duty, comma, in the event of severe personal illness or severe illness or death in the family or household, comma, and absence on board business at the discretion of the chair. I got that mixed up.
Yeah, at the request of the chair and or by the discretion of the chair. The request of the chair is attending board business. That relates to that.
well, it says directed by the chair, and over here it says request, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I think there's some redundancy there.
Okay,
Absence on board business at the request of the chair and or at the discretion of the chair. Doesn't really make sense to me.
yeah.
No,
I
Or
think
by
it's
the-
just discretion,
Or, I'm sorry,
like the decision of the chair. I think discretion is
Any board
appropriate,
business.
yeah.
what are the odds of a board member attending something at the request of the chair?
Some do.
She might send Jeff somewhere.
I send Jeff somewhere all the time.
No, not that, but we're talking about attendance at a meeting.
We're talking about at a
At a
meeting.
meeting. Are you gonna send Jeff someplace else if we have a meeting?
Or community.
I think this is talking about,
Mm-mm, no,
Hold
it's
on.
talking about,
Attending to board business at the request of the chair
being
is one
excused,
part.
right, to be excused to go somewhere else.
The rest of it about the illnesses is at the discretion of the chair.
I understand that.
Oh, I've got something. Okay.
I'm saying he's excused to go to Borough Hall and not be at a committee meeting. That's what they're talking about.
So then maybe we have to separate it or.
Did I, yeah,
Yeah, Jack.
Absence. I don't like absence on board business, absence from board business. At the request of the chair. Or
That's something different.
yeah,
is that something different? Am I restating what's absence for, for
Attending.
board?
Yeah, attending to board business means you're sending him somewhere. Attending from board business is,
Well, then
It's
the
like
word
he's-
is not, okay, I'm sorry. Then the word shouldn't say absence on board business. The whole,
attending to board business at
Right.
the request of the chair.
or
That's the part that doesn't belong there.
attending to board business at the request of the chair. And what I would say after this. Or otherwise at the discretion of the chair, which is basically any other reason at the discretion of the chair. That make sense?
this point, yeah.
Yes,
Okay, or otherwise at the discretion of the chair. That makes sense to me.
Can I point out something that I'll probably get stopped for?
sure.
C, you say a board member will be excused from board or committee meetings, and then E, you talk about missing 2 committee meetings.
Yeah, we're removing that other sentence.
Well, you're removing the other one, the only exception shall be for the fine. That one we're removing.
Yeah, two
But in the
consecutive
beginning, you
meetings
talk about,
may be removed from that committee, not shall be removed.
Right,
We discussed that
Yeah,
last
right, it
week,
was
we
changed.
did, we changed
but
that.
we're not there yet. We're still trying to do C.
C.
Are we done with C or no?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yes,
Okay, so now,
And it's really just trying to future protect us. Cause currently, an absence is an absence is an absence, period.
Right,
But we don't know what the next person will.
I mean, when we send the
Yeah.
attendance to the borough president's office, it's going to say Lucy was excused 5 times. And they're gonna question why. So if I was excused 5 times because Jeff sent me somewhere else to conduct the meeting or on his behalf, then they will say, hey, okay, let's work around this. But if I'm excused because my toe hurt last week and then my nose hurt the following week and this, then they'll be like, wait a minute, now you're playing games because you don't want to come to meeting. So an excuse always should go with a notation in our records here at least, when they do question why someone was excused 5 or a long period of time. And I'll go back to what I said, I reached out to them about a board member that's really ill right now. And it's a lengthy illness, and their response was kind of see you when I see you, or let the office decide. So just throwing that out there. So now we're up to E, which is, go ahead, Mike and Marianne.
No. So I guess when you're talking about the standing committees, you have to add the only exception shall be,
Maybe.
maybe.
What, the exception to participating? On at
Mhm.
least one standing committee, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, any committee meeting, I mean, this is 2 consecutive committee meetings, may be removed from that committee.
Okay, so this is May. I just wanna point that out.
Well, you changed it.
No, no, I just wanna point that out, that you guys are saying May, but I just wanna point something out. When you go to removal of members, it says 3 consecutive. So is this different because it's a May, the word May is in there?
No, I think it has to be updated to be same.
I always thought it was 3. That's a.
No, but the odds of someone missing 3 committee meetings from September to June,
Yeah. You
Yeah,
wanna start
2.
counting?
yeah, no.
Okay, I just wanna point
What
that out.
committee meets every month?
Licensing,
License.
which we're going to discuss that I would like them to make that as a standing committee, because that's probably the most active committee around here. But we'll talk about that when we get there. I could only
So
suggest.
are we changing missing 2 to 3? Okay,
Oh,
No,
I just.
No.
What are the odds?
so it stays, Mrs. 2 consecutive committee meetings may be removed from that committee.
End the sentence, and then take
End
the
of-
rest off.
End of sentence.
And then the only exception, all of that gets removed. Correct?
I don't have anything more than that.
That's all.
Oh, that I took that out last time
Okay,
because that's covered in item C above. Okay.
Now, do we really, sorry for the monkey wrench, do we really want to? Give 3 strikes to the off committee meeting?
no, I think you can leave it as 2, because now that I'm looking at removal, it says it's gonna be an automatic removal with 3. This is a maybe. So leave it alone. I just opened up a can of worms that weren't necessary.
Hmm.
This is a hey, May, this is a warning, it's 2. Now, when you get the 3, goodbye.
Do you want to
This
say
also says
that
automatically though.
that
I'm
3
sorry?
is
This also says
automatic?
it may automatically be,
No, we're taking the word automatically. I was just gonna say may be removed.
okay.
No, I opened up a can of worms, Jack. That no reasoning. Leave it
Okay.
alone.
Okay.
Okay, and I noticed that we haven't discussed the final roll call and attendance at the meeting. We spent a lot of time last week discussing it. B, not B, must sit in the designated area and be present for the business portion. And be present at the final roll call, which shall take place after the good and welfare portion of the meeting. And we had a lengthy discussion about how are we gonna keep track of who's still there.
More to the issue is if they leave and we lose the quorum, then anything after that, we can't vote on.
Right, so that means that we have to know what's going on.
Right.
And then I think it was Michael who said, as long as they're part of the initial quorum, it doesn't matter how many
No, that I
members
was
you
wrong.
He was wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I did send Michael and I did send Jack. I didn't send the rest of the committee, the Excel sheet. And they liked it. And I could only, as I'm here, I can make sure that the office moves forward with those Excel sheets. And the Excel sheet clearly indicates absent, late arrival, early departure, et cetera, et cetera.
But what do we do the night of?
That is an item as well.
In other words, we will know when
It'll be in real time.
yeah, that we don't have a quorum as of, say, 9:30. That X amount of people left and we don't have a quorum, so therefore we can't vote on any other issue.
I mean, I get your point, but I also for me, with my experience, the staff has always been checking when 3 people leave the room and they've been short. And they're like, okay, they'll start texting and I'll start screaming, don't leave.
Okay.
I don't know
As long
what the
as-
chairs are gonna do, but it's happened to me only maybe twice that I said, please, let's stay, we need a quorum, and people have respected that. So, but as far as marking it down and doing in an Excel sheet, I will sit with the office next week, show you guys the Excel sheet again. And moving forward in January, we have to start using that to track down people's attendance.
That'll be in real time.
Yes,
Barbara?
Okay. Hannah's not here, we had a whole length discussion. She says that when she's at the door, she writes down, she knows at any moment how many have left, and if there's a quorum or not.
yeah, I said that.
No, I'm just
Okay.
saying now, currently,
Yeah, I said
whatever
that.
way she does it, it works for her.
Yeah, but if she's not there one night, okay, and Gabriel is the one that's doing that, okay, she might know, but he might not. So this way with that spreadsheet,
It still wouldn't make a
Well,
difference,
document
he
it.
has to know.
Document it.
You have to know the people. Right? The spreadsheet is when they tally it up to make a report. It's not while they're constantly monitoring it, right? Or do you use the spreadsheet
I use the spreadsheet in real time.
in
when-
real time?
when they're leaving as well.
I
So
mean,
they
I
got
can email you
laptops to
guys
do
the
it?
spreadsheet, you can look at it, but
Yeah.
I use it in real time.
Okay, so they're
Because
gonna have,
we do in my office is our secretary does the roll call. And then we're on a Google document. I have the same document open, and if you know, the secretary misses that person, I just click on it and I do it on real time.
okay, so they're gonna have laptops and meetings that are in different places.
You know what? I could only push it. I pushed it 4 years ago, that's all I can tell you.
Okay, no, I'm just asking, because if you give them a laptop. If you got money left over, that was super.
There is
deluxe
laptops. in the
Don't
office.
use laptop.
Is it a super deluxe one?
Who cares? It doesn't have to be.
It's just an Excel spreadsheet, right?
I used to say, to me, it makes my life easier. But some people think it's complicated. I'll bring it up to them again and see how we can work it out. The best I can say for you.
Just as an example, we have an Excel complaint form that was introduced now. And Gabriel is very, very adept at that. Because I'll get to be on the complaints, the follow-ups, what happened.
Okay,
Why
that's
did-
great.
Yeah, and it's basically, week by week.
That's good.
That's good.
Barbara, I'll forward that to you tomorrow. You
Okay.
forward it to the members.
So
And the staff.
it's real important that starting with the next meeting, which is December's meeting,
27.
okay? It's important to stress how important it is to be here till the final roll call, because we might lose quorum and not be able to vote on
Whatever.
whatever comes up.
Something important.
If they're gonna use also that Excel sheet, I will have Gabriel work with Hannah, because Hannah still hasn't taken any kind of Excel classes as of today.
Okay,
So I
I
will
just
have
asked her
Gabriel.
to put in the Excel sheet, are there several boxes in case somebody leaves and comes back twice or 3 times?
I'll send it to Barbara tomorrow and you guys can work on it and then speak
and
to me.
if not, just clear out the box and that they
You
left
can always
and,
make new.
and so on. That's all. That's easy.
It's not that hard. It's just, to me, it's it made my life a lot easier than paper.
Okay, so back to the beginning of subsection 3, responsibility of members. We're okay with the new chain,
Mm,
right? We stopped off at E and Jack made the change. Got rid of the second half of the original E. Just talking about being, members shall participate in at least one standing committee. And then we get into about any committee member missing 2 or 3 consecutive meetings, whatever, 2. We're up to F.
Oh.
Members must vote on all matters for the board, however, there's a conflict of interest, where a conflict of interest exists. I'm not sure that there is I don't think we need to change anything there.
What do we do about abstentions?
Again, they can.
Yeah, right.
And I got news for you, they can even vote present if they want.
I know.
Oh, Congress does that.
I only find, yeah.
I mean, so if they're gonna abstain, you can't force them to
This
do.
new board sitting now, they're gonna get an ass full of splinters sitting on the fence.
Well,
Careful.
yeah. G. No member of staff shall represent the board's position or speak for the board on any matter unless duly authorized by the board or chair to do so. Lucy, I think you had something for this.
I'm trying to see if I placed it somewhere else.
Okay,
I think I placed it on the removal of a member, or we can place it here as well. Is regarding a business card?
yes,
I don't know, it could either go there or it could also go into removal. But I think you're right, it might fit here, no board
Yeah,
membership,
right.
no board membership, create any business cards. With the exception of the chair and the first vice chair. Or no business card should be created for any board member.
no,
You say the wording, but you know what
Yeah.
I'm speaking of. It has to be nothing at all, nothing to say I'm a board member. And even if it says in highlights and in sparkling lights saying, I'm not here to represent the board, you should not have a card, period. Cause it gives it gives the impression that you're still there and representing someone. You look puzzled over there?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't,
I got a
Michael's
question
got the
on
wording
G.
for it.
I understand where
On
you're
G?
coming from.
Yeah.
Okay.
No member or staff shall represent the board position or speak for the board on any matter unless duly authorized by the board or the chair to do so.
Mhm.
So.
It
if
should
I
be
go-
up, it should say up.
If I go to the chair and I say I want to speak to the Brooklyn paper about, let's say, the casino or something. And she says, okay, and then the board says, no, what do we do? How do we?
It should say of, OF, not or. The board of the chair. Wait,
No.
chair of the board should be. It should be chair
You
of the
just
board.
scratch board.
Take board out, take board, board. I would take the board out, and I would also add in there to just document it, that the chair sent out an email to that person. So the person doesn't say, well, you never told me that,
Written
you know what I'm saying?
authorization.
Yeah. Yeah, an email is written.
Some type of paper trail that, the chair did not authorize that person to speak.
Or no, it should be the opposite. It should be the opposite, that if you're the chair of the board.
Right,
And Michael calls you and says, may I speak on behalf of the community board, and you give him authorization to do so. You should follow up with an email, so Michael has that
It
you
should be
allow
both
him to
ways.
do it.
should we vote with?
No, because it wouldn't fall anywhere both ways. It wouldn't really matter, because you're already told that you're not supposed to do a period. So to cover the person that's already speaking
Yeah.
behind, he or she has that email from you. I'm confusing you?
No, I just think if you did, no member or staff shall represent the board's position or speak for the board on any matter unless unless having written authorization by the chair
That's
to
what
do
I'm-
so.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that
it.
means either way,
Yeah,
right? That means
that's
either
what
you
I'm saying.
requested
Okay,
it
written
or the board gave
authorization.
it to you
One way or the
and
other.
you, yeah.
I did the same thing and just said the chair, after this period, the chair must provide written authorization.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. That covers both ways.
But now.
How's this? Unless duly authorized by the chair to do, duly authorized in writing by the chair to do so.
Oh,
Perfect.
perfect.
And then you wanna put in about about the business cards.
Well, because it's for everybody.
Yeah, it has to be an A.
Everything has to go.
It doesn't have to be an
Want
age.
to put it in there?
Okay.
Um,
Doesn't hurt or doesn't make it. No member is allowed to create business cards.
She's got a question then.
I just have a point, because I know, because I read contracts all the time. When you write for G, where it says speak for the board, remember we're in a technologically interconnected society, so that doesn't apply to writing on social media or anything. Speaking would be like actually speaking to somebody. So-
Represent the board's position.
no,
Then
you
it
can't,
gets-
you can't
Then it gets
represent,
sticky, right?
No,
you can't say you're representing the board on Facebook either. If that's what you're getting at.
Yes, just the specific, the wording is speak for the board, it may be construed differently if you're writing on social media.
Be there physical, when you say.
You can make that argument that
Or written.
speaking is actually, yeah, orally speaking, not typing something on LinkedIn, for example. I'm just pointing that out, that could be down the line.
Instead of
If
saying,
someone construes that in some way.
they, oh, you only told me to speak, but not written down.
You
So
didn't
I
say
have my
it
own
right.
opinion.
People don't want
We
to
should address
write
that, you know, later on.
in writing or on social.
Orally or written or orally. That's it.
Yeah.
Orally or written.
Yeah, but say speak, you're speaking to someone.
I'm just thinking, because I would make that argument if I was in that.
Then towards that, oh, wait, I just typed.
Don't
it.
give people ideas.
You wouldn't win, but I see your point.
Yeah, 'cause they will say, I typed it in, I didn't just speaking, I was typing it, you know? Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that too.
No member or staff shall represent the board's position by speaking or writing on behalf of the board? No.
I really think we're splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
No, I
No, it's
kind of
more
like
than that.
Gabriel's point because sometimes some
Yes, I'm
members,
trying to put it in
no, but
words.
he's Jack, I'm going with.
Oh,
So
okay.
I like Gabriel's point because somebody might just say, oh, I wrote a letter. Because that's what I felt like doing.
Or I responded to somebody on social, you know. on
Yeah,
social
you're right.
media.
It could be in the paper, it could be anything.
LinkedIn, that's true.
Now you brought up the worms, now bundle them up in a can.
Well, I think that what states it clearly is that no member or staff shall represent the board's position. Period. It doesn't matter whether you speak it or write it in Facebook or go to X. It's social media is a form of communication, just like writing an email or speaking in public. I mean, it's kind of it's a universal situation. If you represent the board's position, like if you represent yourself to be a member of the board and share your opinion on social media, you're in violation of the bylaws.
So then take a word, then take away or speak, and then it will say the board's position for the board on any matters. It covers both.
Well, I don't think
No.
you even need to say for the board, the board's position on any matter.
Okay,
Unless duly authorized.
Yeah,
by
Don't
the
even
chair.
go that way.
That's it.
perfect.
Perfect.
Writing by the chair, you want to put it right?
Yeah.
We're dealing with this an awful lot at the institutional level because of so much going on in the world and so many different points of view being represented, vis-a-vis demonstrations, you name it. And there are people who go on social media and represent themselves to be members of, the staff or an institution, and they share their opinions, which may very well aggravate a number of people. And I have seen very high level people fired for this. So it's not something to be taken lightly.
It's true.
Okay, so we still need to add the line about
Listening.
the business
Thank you.
cards.
Oh, is that gonna be part of G?
Should it be part of G or separate?
Or, yeah, or make it, which is fine, but. Yeah,
Okay,
As Jack was saying, these are things that are, should not be taken lightly. But do we need to add it as well as part of the removal, because people will be removed if they do it?
let's, yes, but let's.
Okay, let's wait till we get there. Okay, just checking.
So we don't miss anything.
Okay. I don't know how to
Okay.
word it. I just-
what are we saying about business cards? I thought I saw something written about that elsewhere in the bylaws, but I may be mistaken.
No,
No, we can tell you that for sure.
Okay,
A very simple line. No board member,
Except the chair or vice chair.
no board member is allowed to use business cards, create
Create.
business cards that people would think they are representing the board or something.
Maybe
Something like that.
think larger of like no board member or staff member shall purchase any
Well, no, you can know.
like merchandise or.
So anyone can purchase them themselves. Create.
you can print your own cards very easily,
Yes.
and many people do.
No member shall create or have official association business cards for their personal use. It's for like official board, 13 board, the community board, business cards for their personal use or something like that.
or shall,
Shall create or have for use. Official or 13 business cards for their personal use.
or should not, well,
For personal distribution. No board member may create official community board business cards for personal distribution.
or actually, I was gonna say, or announcing their affiliation with the community board for their personal use or whatever. Right, I think that's the key. Using the community board logo or saying a member of or affiliated with community board 13 on personal business cards.
We can include use of personal business card.
I think I got it.
Letterhead, logo of board 13 for personal use.
No members, with the exception of the chair and the first vice chair, will be allowed to produce business cards on the,
Showing their affiliation with community board 13.
yeah, you can add the rest of the sentence. No
I
board
think that
member-
works.
No board member, with the exception of the chair and the first vice. Or the first vice chair will be allowed to produce business cards. And then Michael's gonna finish the sentence.
Excuse me, has this ever happened?
Yes.
Okay. I know people have given
but-
newspapers.
No, it happened.
Under no circumstance.
Announcing their affiliation with community board 13.
I think I saw one of your business cards that way, Jeff.
I was authorized to have it.
He's the first vice chair.
I was
You weren't,
authorized to
no,
have it.
this was when you first got on the community board.
Oh,
Oh,
I
that
just
was
have-
from-
I have that recollection.
Excuse me, I was authorized by Butch.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Okay. We have Mark on the.
Well, do we need to say with authorization by the chair. We don't say that. No member, with the exception of the chair and first vice chair, may create official community board business cards announcing their affiliation with the community board for personal distribution.
Right.
Do you want to add, except at the discretion of the chair?
No,
Without the approval of the chair, yeah. Because somebody's gonna come up with a bogus card and say something else. It's gonna say, I'm not affiliated in any which way with Community Board 13. I'm speaking on my behalf and it only says I'm a board member. I think we should make it strong.
Okay.
Mark,
Yeah, I think you need to consider more than business cards because it's so easy to get one-off hats, jackets, whatever you want. Sorry to make your life harder.
No, I get
See,
it.
I'm just
You're
seeing you face palm for it, but it really is right around the corner here at Brighton Beach. I can just walk in and say, I need a jacket. Proud member of Community Board 13, or whatever. So it's just expanding the sentence. That's all. I'll mute myself.
No, you made a
No,
pretty good
Mark,
point.
Mark, come back.
I'm back.
Okay. What do you want to actually add to this?
Not just business cards.
Business cards,
Okay.
apparel, or other materials.
Apparel, whatever, on your Facebook page. I don't have a Facebook page, but whatever.
Right, even on
Okay.
your email signature,
I'm sorry?
even on your email signature.
On my email signature.
Well, no,
No,
because some chairs of the committees can submit an email saying chair of the bylaws committee. I would accept, I mean, if I'm still here, I would accept that. I don't have a problem as long as you're chair of a committee and you can still say board member of Community Board 13, but you're not really saying you are representing them. You know, I don't have a problem with someone saying I'm a board member. I do have a problem with someone saying I'm representing the community board, walking around with a shirt saying Community Board 13. And even if they place board member at the bottom, it still gives the impression that you're there because you're standing there and the five people behind you have no idea that you're not really there to represent.
So
Gotcha.
that's the apparel question of anything.
I'll buy socks next week. And give them to other.
Yeah, because for example, you know, when we do our resumes, right? Or we've even had to fill it out for the borough president, right? The application to get renewed, right? We
Have you
had to
applied?
talk about, you know, what,
You
know.
put down your activity.
so, yeah, Jack, so, you know, what you had started to say about apparel or letterhead or signatures. That could be added right there.
Well, after the conversation, I take back the comment about signatures because you can sign an email saying member of Brooklyn Borough, Community Board 13. So a signature is really not a problem. Making a letterhead or a business card or printing a hat or a t-shirt or a jacket, that's different. That's different. That's taking upon yourself to represent that it's an official article. And that makes sense to me. I don't think you have to go any further than that.
All right, fair enough.
Because when you write your resume, you're simply stating a fact.
Right.
You're saying I am a member. You're not sharing an opinion or the only problem that would be is if you're not a member, you put that on your resume. And there are people that do that. In fact, I think I remember hearing
no, he didn't do that.
a candidate for district manager that stated that she was on the board when in fact she wasn't. But that's a story for another day. Can I just read what I have and then you can poke holes in it again? No member, with the exception of the chair and first vice chair, may create official community board business cards, apparel, or other materials announcing their affiliation with the community board for personal use.
I love it, except take the word official out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right.
I would like this to say will not be allowed.
Oh, he just
He said may. I believe he said the word may.
Well,
That
no
word
member
may-
may create. What, how
May
else? would you
create.
state it?
Right, that's different.
Okay, just check.
You're not saying, yeah, that's
Okay.
You may not do that. You can do it. You are able to do it, but you may not do it. You're not
Got
allowed.
it.
I'm
Got it. Good.
just explaining the English language here, very basic.
Appreciate it.
Certainly.
Funny,
Insignia 413, not pages, insignia 413.
I'm buy socks for everyone. When I leave in June, everyone's gonna get a pair of socks. So let
With
me see.
413,
Okay.
13.
So that is now H, correct, Jack?
That is H.
Okay, great. All right. Now we start Article 3.
I had a change for this.
Okay,
I would like it to be a period of 3 2-year terms or 2 3-year terms. Section, Article 3, Section 2. A period of 2-year commencing July 1st. I'm recommending that we switch it to a period of 3 2-year terms or switch it to 2 3-year terms.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't be voting on the even year.
so you wanna make it,
Right.
And what's the problem?
I don't know, it says in here.
it
on
says
voting on the
it's always even.
Well,
It's always even.
Why change that though? But you can, it's,
Good.
you can make it. If you wanted to 2 3-year terms.
That makes it even.
It wouldn't make it even.
That
It
would
does
make
make
it,
it-
that does make it even.
So let's, well, then I recommend 2 3-year terms.
Why do you recommend it?
Why am I
Lucy?
recommending it? Because sometimes it took me, and I have to say, and I said it last time, you weren't here. I'm going on my 4th year. It took 2.5 years before everyone realized Joanne was gone. And my feet was. So it becomes a
Yeah.
problem for the person to,
But
now-
I had
and
that
now
too.
people are saying, oh, you're leaving soon? You know, I've done my 4th year, so it takes a while for people to, unless someone's like here all the time, for people to really understand who left and how they're here and move forward and things like that. I had experiences of that, so I
Okay,
think.
playing devil's advocate, all right? I did it for 4 years, all
Mhm.
right? By the end of the 4th year, I avoided the community.
Right, but that
board
was
for a
you.
couple- No, I avoided it, and if you consider past chairman generally stay away for a while. 4 years should be the maximum. And if
There
you
are
look at the
boards that
board
don't
now,
have limit time,
I was gonna say.
and that doesn't necessarily mean that the next person has to run for 6
That-
years. It's an option
That's not true either,
that don't have limit.
right?
See,
No.
what is it? Teresa's been there 300.
It's because they have the option if nobody's.
No,
gonna
time
run,
out,
chair.
time out. We all have term limits now.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not gonna give
You're
you
right.
6 years. What's the term limit now? 8 years?
Yeah.
right,
And if I wanna run after you're finished, cause I don't wanna run against you, I
Mhm.
only get a 2-year term and then I'm done?
that's a good way of looking at it. Thank you.
With the 8 years, I think after you're out 1 year, you can come back in, right?
With
You
all
have to
due respect,
I'm just saying.
And
after
all,
you're
That's what-
out,
and
don't wanna
with
come back
all
in.
respect, I gave a clear example. No one knew that Joanne, oh, Joanne left. Yeah, you know, I'm
All right.
leaving too. The next Jack gonna be here, maybe you'll know who,
Which
him or
people
her.
are these? The people that show up once every 3 months?
I-
People that
I've
are
gone
playing
to
the game,
ball.
they
I
don't
think of them.
miss 3
I've
consecutive
presented
meetings.
the community
Watch,
Pieces,
right? There are
and
people
let-
there that say, miss 2,
blah, blah, blah.
show up, miss 2.
and it has nothing to do with personalities. It has to do is if any board member now has an 8-year life. You're not even, just think about what that will do to compound the problem of person A being the president for the chairman for 6 years. And besides all the institutional knowledge that we're losing at that 8-year life, okay, the new person sitting into that job would be incredibly overwhelmed, okay, and only have 2 years.
But that's up to the board, Michael, to tell that person, to vote that person out, because Joanne wants the spot. She's gonna run against that person. And either she wins or she doesn't win, and they feel that that person is sufficient for the 6 years, let them stay there for 6 years. What's the problem? Nobody wants these positions anyway. Let's start with, let's be realistic with that one. But if someone wants to run again for the 6 years, but someone else wants it, let them run against them, period. We're all adults.
And who's to say that,
That
God
person's gonna
willing, we
stay.
get a new borough president?
We say this for every elected official.
Yeah, right. That's a bad commentary about today's politics. That he doesn't change it,
Change one.
No, he's gotta go through city charter. for all of that.
That's already, that's written in the city charter.
Yeah,
Does anybody have a sense of what the consistency is with other community boards? Do they have, 2-year terms? What's that?
DB11, Warrenelli just retired. He was there for life, but he's retired.
Yeah, but their bylaws
yeah.
included him as that.
Yeah,
He was part of the bylaws.
he made the bylaws,
He made the bylaws to say that I shall be chairman for life.
right.
No,
You
but
know?
they have term limits they have, no, and Teresa, they don't have term limits, but they have elections that people could run against it, but nobody wants to run against it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. She has the option to keep on going because nobody runs against it.
It's very hard,
right.
very hard.
Listen,
So let's hear from other people in the room. If they have any thoughts on this. We have two different,
well, no, we only have right now is 2 3-year terms. I'm gonna remove
yeah,
my.
we have, well, what I was saying is we have two different
Okay.
thoughts here.
If you're doing 2 3-year terms, that first election after the first 3 years is not on an even year, though. That was my point, because this reads even year elections.
Can you
Right.
change that?
So that would have to be changed, because that first election would not be on an even year.
No,
No,
that
the
you,
three,
3 2-year
three
terms. would be
2-year
not-
terms.
Would make it, right,
No, but you're still gonna have an election after the 3-year term,
Yeah, the first
after
one.
3 years,
And
right? So,
yeah,
all right,
but
for
that's
argument's
the
sake,
idea that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
right.
it.
Yeah.
So
that's-
then you make it 3 consecutive terms maximum. That's the same 6 years.
Okay,
And you,
You keep
stick
the
to-
term at 2 with a maximum of 3 terms. And it always stays on the even year.
Right,
Well,
Okay.
you know, I'm not comfortable making a statement as opinionated as this, but I like it at 2 consecutive terms, and my example is when Butch was chair. We couldn't get rid of him fast enough. And so there is actually a good purpose to having this limit. I'm not a big advocate of term limits in general, in cases where people are performing their duties in a competent fashion. But obviously, this is a construct that prevents situations to the contrary. And I don't like to say anything bad about anybody, but that was the worst 4 years of my life on the
which
community.
wasn't all for 4 years.
I beg your pardon?
he was.
2 years.
2 years. and
2
Butch-
years.
Butch left
Yeah, and
after
then
2.
I ran
Oh,
against
it
him.
seemed like 4 years. I'm sorry. You're
It
right.
seems like 4 years.
You're right.
yes.
Actually, it seemed like 6.
Yeah,
Um,
He didn't seek reelection.
Right.
Right.
Okay, which surprised
I
me.
don't know.
frankly, but
Jackie just froze.
I froze, not here, I didn't.
Jack-
Oh, he looks good.
Oh, look at that.
Everybody's frozen.
Everybody's
No,
frozen.
Yeah, look at Mark. Look
Can
at
you hear
that
me
big smile.
okay? I can hear you.
There we go, they're back to
There we
life.
go.
Okay.
Okay,
you know.
that's karma. That's karma for my opening my mouth. That's really as much as I want to say about it. I don't have a horse in the race. I don't really feel strongly to argue one way or the other, but it's my opinion that it isn't broke and it doesn't need to be fixed. With all due
Hmm.
respect to you.
Well-
See,
My opinion,
No problem.
when the mayor of Bloomberg wanted to run for 3 terms, I was against it. I was on City Hall steps trying to fight that.
Did you get arrested? Because you could be removed.
I didn't have any felonies, no misdemeanors.
well, for the
Uh,
record, I wasn't against it.
Okay, so maybe, why are you against the 3 years here? But,
But
Because of the-
it's a little different.
but
Not
But-
only that.
when I saw that, I think it's 2-year terms. I think is enough for a person to be chair. They can get things done. Lucy, you've got a lot of things done in the 4 years that you've been there. And that's my opinion. I think leave it as is.
Anybody else?
Yes, all right, if you think about now, the boards
You got a lot of
for
things
the
done.
last, I don't know, 12, 15 years have been consistently the same people. They just go from position to position to position. We're not encouraging new members to take responsibility.
How about they don't want it?
How do we know they don't want it or they don't realize they can get it?
Take their attendance.
Yeah, right.
But that's, I agree, but that's taken away from us at this point with our own term limits.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, that was just my thought on it.
yeah, I'm not disagreeing at all. What about you, Zanara?
I think, I think we have to find a balance between institutional knowledge that everyone brings to the table and maintaining that, because that is a very crucial part of maintaining a community board, but I think everyone has to chip in for that, right? Staff and other community board members. I do think maybe there's a point we could talk about the transition between officers, right? That maybe we should implement that there should be a meeting and there should be, some kind of discussion, but I think if we want to keep it as is, that's fine with me too. I think, 2 terms, 2 years, I'm okay with that as well. I'm very open to hearing opinions on that.
Okay, I will give my.
Wait, we have
Hang
one
on
more
one
member.
second.
Yes, institutional.
Leave it in,
Short.
okay?
Okay,
Eddie?
if you think of it this way, if the newest member comes in, has 8 years to run, or 8 years to be in.
Stay.
That means 2/3 of his time, he's gonna be the chair. How is the next person going to run if you're only gonna be the 8 years at that same time? I'm just trying to
That's
figure
what
out.
Michael was
But
saying.
it's true,
Yeah.
because if you think of it, how much of your lifetime you're gonna learn in that 2 years to become running for that remainder of the 6 year?
Fine, I'll take it off the table.
I mean, it's just harder, it's just, it.
But then I wanna bring something else to the table then.
You're.
Can't, okay, I'll actually take it off the table. How's that? It makes sense now.
Okay.
It makes sense that someone will be around for 6 years. And if their term is only 8 years, why should they be blah, blah, blah? Okay, so I'm gonna take my recommendation off the table, but I have another recommendation. And it is based on, I don't know who it was, Marianne or Joanne that mentioned it. Is there a way that we can place in here, and I don't know if we could or we can't, that people cannot rotate themselves and stay always on the executive board? So once you ran for an executive position, you're done. You can't run for an executive position again. We can't, there's nothing illegal or under the table.
Isn't with the law, the rule that you can stay out 1 year and then come back? Or no?
You see what, well, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You can
this
add-
way, this is where you get new blood in.
Yeah,
You can add something to terms limit and to base it on the executive board. It cannot be more than 2 terms on the executive board. You can be 2 years as a president and 2 years as a vice president overall, but total to 4 years. And then you should go with the executive for a year or two.
Don't most
That
people
makes-
move up from first vice president to chair? As, I mean, it's a natural progression, isn't it? So
Yeah,
you might be on, you might be first vice president for 2 terms. And then you might be poised to be president. Or
And
chair.
as a rule, who would be the most suited for the next chair would normally would be the first vice
First
chair
vice
because
chair.
more involved in day-to-day operations.
all right. We
No,
took a
but
long
what-
time on this
what-
discussion and I
what's the point?
apologize.
I understand. No, what she was.
Oh.
No, that they just switch, let's say, first chair, first VP will go to be chair and the chair will move to first.
Which is what
VP.
happens now. Right,
Yeah,
That
so
happens
that
now.
to prevent something like that.
right.
So you cannot downgrade, let's put it this way in the executive.
We don't wanna be the barons of CUNY Board 13.
You mean you could only go up, not down, to switch around?
And it's basically only for VP and the first chair, because how you gonna do secretary and treasurer?
I know that's just a thought, because just to get new meat, but like I said, no one wants to do anything, so I don't know why I'm talking.
Then you gotta put in,
If there are no candidates.
Chair can be 2 years on the executive and be all the executive. Chair on. He can move
I
up.
don't know how you word that though,
That's,
to be honest.
I got the point, but
Well, they're not even gonna move up. Let's say you have corresponding secretary, right? And then you move up to. You move up to secretary, that's 2 years right there, right?
We
2,
don't have a
4.
corresponding secretary.
Okay, so we have a
We
secretary.
just have a
Okay,
secretary.
you have him, Sam. He chooses to move up to treasurer. That's
Right.
another 2 years. Then he chooses to move up to second vice chair. That's 6 years. He would only get to first vice chair.
secretary is above the treasurer.
Is what?
Secretary
Who
above the
comes first, the
treasurer.
Okay,
treasurer?
well,
The secretary.
doesn't matter, but I was talking about the
Treasurer is
years.
last one.
Corporate secretary.
Yeah, treasurer is always the last one. So this should be reworded.
I don't know, I'm just throwing, trying to get new meat, but. You know,
I don't think anybody's running for an office on the board to become a treasurer or a secretary.
Right.
Why? Seriously, why? I've been secretary, I've been treasurer.
Yeah, but that's then,
Today.
as I say, that's then
Today.
now. And they just wanna
It's
say.
instant gratification that I think that you're gonna see a lot of people wanting to run for first vice chair and chief
I'm a
executive.
Community Board 13 member,
Right.
that's, you make them.
I'm running far from the door. All right, guys, we have
so-
15 minutes left for this session.
All right, so subsection,
We're still on one. You have to reverse the order. After second vice chair should be secretary and then treasurer.
Okay.
Is there a second vice chair?
yes,
Yes.
Samara,
And never sitting.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean to slight you. I didn't mean to slight you.
and she doesn't have business cards.
She doesn't need them. Okay,
all right, so.
secretary comes before treasurer, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
She does go to meetings. I gotta say thank you to her, Mike and
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
So that's subsection 1. Subsection 2,
Gonna leave it.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it
Right.
alone.
I still
Right.
wanna go over it because he's not in the room,
Okay.
okay? Subsection 3 is about the nominating committee. I don't see any change in 3 needed. A, B. C is fine.
It's fine.
I think that they're all fine.
No, I have a suggestion.
What?
That's gonna take 20 minutes and then we're gonna throw it out the window.
Go ahead. Oh, don't be like that.
Yeah.
Section, well, no, I was saying it because I didn't make any sense in my head and you guys cleared it up for me, so. Letter I, is that the one that says,
Oh, the paper ballot?
no, the paper ballots I like, I was the one that brought this here.
I don't like it.
Okay, no, I think it falls into J, trying to figure out where it was. Where we're sitting there all night trying to get someone to fill a position. I think it's in section J.
Yeah. it
And
keeps
further,
on going. Yeah, right.
right? I think it should say, we would try one more time and then move it to the next board meeting. Cause you know, if you don't, if you have a tie between Jeff and I, you wanna break that tie at that meeting, but if you still didn't break that tie, you're saying in this section, we gotta do a third time, let's just bring it to the following month.
But that's a month away.
It is, and you know what?
A whole
You know what? It
executive-
gives Jeff the opportunity to go speak to all the members and convince them, and it gives me the opportunity to convince the members. And then at the next meeting, they will vote differently instead of just having to sit there
And
and
they won't come.
it doesn't matter if they're coming on. The point is that if you're doing it twice, chances are one person is not gonna change their mind. If they come back a following month, it will give the candidates an opportunity to reach out to the members to convince them at the third chance to vote for them. That's just my opinion. Again, maybe I'm not clear.
You're talking about an election in June, that means you're waiting till September.
Why not? What's the
And you
problem?
take
That's
care
for
of the
What
that
are you gonna do
position.
during the busiest time of
Who
Community
chairs the
Board
board during
13? Who's gonna run the board?
That the first vice chair
No.
who gets elected. Why not?
I have a question here.
So
People
you
need to
rather
gotta
sit
change
there
the
all
rules.
night and keep trying to break this tie?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Like the Speaker of the House.
Did you know
You
15?
can. You're on the board a lot longer than I am.
Oh, almost 50 years.
As that.
Yeah,
You're, what, 50 years?
because, yeah, I'm 80.
They had the board then, 50 years ago?
When we first started, it was the planning board,
In the 70s.
secretary. Jerry.
Been on the board 10 years, I don't remember.
Yeah.
What's his name, Schwartz, right?
What?
Okay.
Jerry Critchfield has the planning board.
Oh, that was
If there's a-
planning board, but the
Yeah.
first
If there's
community.
a tie,
Yes, that one is the
if
community.
there's a tie at that point, you can have, you get up another 3 minutes and you try to convince
Yeah.
People with the best.
Okay, and then if you don't have.
I
that breakage,
Question going.
somebody's
back-
gonna fold.
Finish this first.
Finish this first.
I think we go until we get it.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, I don't think,
You can't wait until September. If you had the election in May, you could wait 1 month. But not if you have the election in June.
you can't, yeah.
when you have the buddy system holding each other's hands, they're gonna continue to vote over and over again for the same person. You're never gonna break it.
Now, I think someone on this board will wanna go home and they'll change their will. That's what this is.
Reason.
Yeah, excuse me, that's the reason in Congress.
And they could take a month to think about, why would Lucy be the better candidate against Jeff? You sit there all night and this board, you all know, after 9:03, they all turn into pumpkins.
We have Mark on the.
Yeah, Mark, please unmute.
Yes, I think if you can't do it in 2 votes, you do have to let it go, because by even those who don't walk out early, you're gonna lose quorum. you can't just, this is not the House of Representatives. You just can't keep voting. They're not people, generally people are not sufficiently dedicated to just keep voting and voting, hope then that somebody says, oh, heck with it, I'll change my vote. I think you have to push it, even if it means September. Not that that's ideal, just in my opinion, you're gonna wind up losing quorum, then technically you can't vote. You can't do anything else at that point. If
That's why
I'll shut up.
you can't leave the office
Right, right.
No, but
empty.
it's never happened.
Okay,
It's never-
in
Number one,
Coney
number
Island,
two,
maybe you can
generally.
do it,
It's
But
all-
you
you're
know,
not leaving
somewhere
it
else.
empty.
One election.
You are.
You are,
Most of it.
there is not, there's no.
Why wouldn't
chance.
why wouldn't the first vice chair take the responsibility as they're always?
That's only for chair. But what about the first vice chair?
And then you keep going down.
No, I
No.
don't think, in all these years, ever. have
Okay, so
anything-
what happens when you don't have a candidate to run for a position? So nobody runs for chair. There's nobody out there that wants to run for chair. What do you do then?
You have the option of running again.
No,
Yeah,
no,
Yes.
yeah.
no.
All right, you'll all hate me, but you wanna talk about ranked choice voting?
What happens when you don't have, you guys wanna start from the top? So let's go from the top. You have nobody that's interested in being a chair on this board. What do you do then?
I doubt it.
You do like Teresa does, and you run again.
You can't run again because it's 17, you can't run again. What do you do?
You call
my
up the borough
opinion-
president and you say, what do we do?
And it takes 3 months.
No. Say, do what your bylaws says.
It says here on the vacancy of
We
office,
don't discuss it.
election, right? But in the vacancy of office on page 5, but it says it there. It says if they can't do it, then just follow what the bylaw says. It says next person going up, which would be the first vice.
We just said
Yeah,
that.
but that's what you should do. Follow the bylaw. Then.
Mhm.
If that's what it says, why are you making it more difficult?
And
That's
the
right,
reason
Just
is
use
it's
what
never
it
gonna
says
happen.
there.
Right,
That's it.
it's never gonna happen.
Do the vote like you said. It's gonna be hard.
I don't mind doing it twice. I just think doing it
We're
one
not
night.
gonna be, we're not gonna be there.
All night is gonna be hard.
Yeah.
But now they threw a wrench to that. What happens? Nobody runs. Then the first vice chair.
Michael, I don't think it's ever gonna happen, because I think these new.
Never should have, could have, like Michael said 5 minutes ago.
The way this board's reading lately, I don't think there's a good chance.
Okay, so let's forget about chair person.
I'm not talking about any time.
No, let's be serious. Let's go, not serious, but let's be realistic. Nobody cares about being treasurer. Nobody cares about being secretary. They just.
Yes.
These people that are coming in now,
They
it's
don't-
not that they don't care, but they like the idea that I'm an officer on community board 13.
So they'll run for the position. Okay.
Yeah. That's my feeling.
I don't know, I just feel 2 times, if you can't get it right in 2 times, you should wait for the next month, but. That's my vote. If anyone wants to do a straw vote, please let me know, and then all my ideas.
I'm not present at the meeting, so I don't think I'm allowed to vote.
We're doing straw votes, we're not doing. If there's such a thing. We have a public person or board member that agrees with me. I have one. And he gave me candy.
Okay,
He gave me candy when he saw me the other day.
though, if anybody likes Lucy's idea, just a sense of the committee, it's not an official vote, just a sense. Like Lucy's idea. Okay, please, just raise your hand.
Can you just say it one more time? Cause I got lost in the sauce.
It's either you vote all night, or you stop at the end of 2 votes.
Okay, so let's go to end of 3 votes. How's
I
that?
absolutely disagree with voting all night. You got rules, you got guidelines. Many of us work, if you're retired and you've got nothing better to do, and I'm not making a judgment, you got more time for this, but not everybody has that luxury. And especially if you're getting younger people on the board, you have to respect their lives. And it's simply unreasonable.
Not only that, you have to have the staff have more than 10 copies of ballots, just in case there's a contested.
So Jack, then what are you saying? If it's tied after 2 votes, what do you do?
Come back in
Wait.
September.
Let's do 3.
Then you can,
Election-
no, I can't go for that.
No, elections happens once every 2 years.
Right.
So one day in 2 years, you can spend time and decide what you want to do. It's just one day.
Have you been at these meetings?
I've been to another meetings. I've been
No
to,
meetings
but
that
no,
they wanna
no,
leave
but
at 9:01.
how many times do you have tides?
Never.
Never,
No,
Never.
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 Why are we discussing? it?
Okay.
That's right, you have been,
And it's never.
sometimes there's been hotly contested elections,
But highly contested elections is not.
which were
Yeah.
done without names on ballots.
Okay.
Well, that's a whole other issue. but-
That's another
Yeah.
issue that I don't think we should
About 3.
discuss today.
Once in 2 years, maybe.
How about 3?
I think it's hard to pinpoint 2 or 3 because we can't predict what time of night that is, whether that's like 9:40 or 10 or 9:05 or 9:07. So I think
I mean, I
it's
want to-
really like, it's a hard hypothetical that you wanna.
Listen, I stayed at board meetings till 11 and midnight, so I'm not one to say, let's cry, let's go home. I feel the business has to be done,
Yeah,
but
And remember, we're talking about here paper ballots, which take time to count,
Certify,
by the nominating committee.
certify.
Yeah. And so on, so there's time in between, but I, for one, don't think that we need to
I don't
Have
think
we
so.
really had
And
to worry
decided,
about it?
I can't see us going.
let a future
listen,
kick the can down the road.
we do it electronically, so we don't
Yeah.
do paper ballots. We have a laptop in the front, you type in your name and it goes right into your vote. And 5 minutes later, you know who's your new chair. But, I mean, I start with that.
Not gonna happen, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't create it, but, okay, so I guess everybody's not in agreement.
No,
We'll leave
I
it.
can't see. it
See you
anymore.
till midnight.
I don't think it's ever gonna happen.
Okay,
Great.
hope it doesn't happen this
Okay.
month. This, in a few.
Now, with all due respect, where the hell are we now?
You're up to section 4, which is redundant at this point.
Yeah.
If you look
have
at
to get every-
Article 3, subsection 2, it says it already. So, and it
Yeah.
underlines 2
It's
years.
never gonna happen.
So you wanna
So
get rid of,
that-
you wanna get rid of section 4?
Yes.
Is
Because
that
it's
okay with
redundant.
everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, so-
Okay,
I think we should stop.
Mm.
We're not gonna get through all of this one.
No. So we can stop at section, let's stop at section 4.
Yeah, the new section 4.
Okay. See,
Okay, so we're gonna do the duties of the offices,
Next one.
subsection 5.
things, nobody had any changes with that. But could probably keep going.
Oh, since you're here, when do you?
We don't finish this one.
Music stop.
Now, I have, but before we go here, because this has something to do with this section. Remember I said I would like to change it to chair and one co-chair and a co-chair, not co-chair. Since it's already written in here. Like the letter M, we would, once we get to that other section, we would have to come back and visit these sections, correct?
Hmm.
If it's in
Mhm.
agreement with the committee.
And
Which one is that?
So I have
next
brought up,
page.
we
page
have
4.
now co-chairs.
For the
Of the
executive committee.
No.
No,
Right, the executive committee, they're opposed to it, which is, comes out to 25 people, which is ridiculous. Okay, especially when you
that
have
was Eddie.
certain matters at hand. I was recommending to have a chair and a co-chair, which will reduce the members of the executive committee. Instead of 25, we'll reduce it to 12, because only the chair will be on the executive committee. But the co-chair can fulfill the position of the chair's absence. Got me?
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and to the point, I think it makes it easier, because when you have two co-chairs and you have an issue come up and you have opposite ends of the spectrum, then who votes?
Yeah.
So actually having one chair.
So-
would-
Okay,
It's almost
Um,
like chair and VP of the committee.
Yeah.
Greg
Yeah.
Hammerman
What
had,
section are we at right now? I'm lost.
We're still at 3,
We're in,
no,
No,
hold on.
Article 3, sorry.
subsection 5.
no, remember, they're renumbered now.
Well, subsection 5 is
Now subsection.
is now duties of the vice chairs.
Okay. Subsection. Duties of the vice.
No,
No, hold on.
4 is duties of the chair.
Okay,
right.
correct.
And they're talking about M.
And under
M.
subsection 5, M.
Oh, right,
The old
right.
subsection 5.
Okay.
Okay, to appoint and or remove chairs and or co-chairs of the standing committees of the board. And to establish and appoint and or remove chairs and or co-chairs and members of such committees. Or such special committees as may from time to time be deemed necessary. It's that one, okay? It was suggested to simply say, to appoint and or remove chairs of the standing committees of the board, including co-chairs, if deemed necessary. So you can either have either just the chair, or if it's like, licensing, you want a co-chair there, but you don't necessarily need it for another committee.
Okay, the
That's what we're
historical
talking
knowledge.
about.
I don't know who did it, which chairman, but the reason for the co-chairs was to try to get more people interested in being on the board and showing up for meetings. All right, it wasn't me. I don't know who it was
It was
after
me.
me.
I did.
It was you. I
Yes.
was gonna say
It
you,
was me.
but yeah,
And
because
you're
he,
right, you're right, it's
Yeah.
to get more, if the chair can't make it, the meeting
it
should not be
wasn't that if
canceled.
the chair
And it
couldn't make
shouldn't be
it.
canceled either.
But no one's saying that. That's not what I'm saying.
chair can't make it, the chair can always authorize the
Someone
co-chair.
can do it.
But
Yeah.
what I'm saying, do you like the word chair and
She's
co-chair?
saying,
I have a question first,
Yes,
Michael.
different.
Mike,
Yes.
I have another adding on, sorry. First, with my initial question or my initial suggestion, would it be suitable to change the wording to say chair and vice chair of that committee and remove the whole co-chair craziness of the name?
Yeah.
Because,
No,
and the reason I say that, I'll tell you why, reason I say that, because the offices are chair, first vice chair, just to be consistent. You keep shaking your head and then you go against me later after you do this. You did that
No,
before, and I thought,
the-
hey, she's on my side.
The
and then
term
she-
co-chair sounds like just two people that have the
Thank you.
same
So I
level
was
of
thinking-
responsibility.
I was thinking in addition to removing that is to rename it to say chair of that committee and vice chair of that committee.
Yeah.
And only the chair of the committees will be on the executive board. But of course, the vice chair can fulfill the
Or designate.
responsibility of the chair at an executive committee. I know we're not in that section, but that's where I was going with this.
Vice chair or deputy chair, I think,
No, I think it
whatever,
would be better
whatever
if
you
it's-
prefer, I think.
I
the
frankly
second
like
reason why-
co-chair. I do see them as equal.
But we're
that's
making
my-
them
That's
unequal
my
now.
personal
Yeah.
opinion.
Right, it was Eddie's great idea.
prior to this past session, past two sessions, I guess. Were the co-chairs always on the executive committee?
no,
You started that, if I remember
No, Eddie
No,
started.
they were.
They were always.
Yes, they were. They're always.
Co-chairs were always on the executive
Yes.
committee?
Both of them.
Yeah, it's not that they always showed up,
Yeah,
but
and that was the whole thing. They
Is
never-
it fair for me to assume that this issue's not gonna be resolved tonight? So that I can excuse myself?
I think we're not, Michael would, I think we could let him go because it's not gonna end tonight, but just among ourselves, maybe gives ourselves 5 or 6 more minutes to just get our thoughts together for the next meeting.
Oh, wait, before you,
And when is the next meeting?
Well, let's discuss that too. Can you pass me my first?
when is the next?
Mark, you wanna say something?
Hand up.
We're going in DC.
Mark's frozen right now.
Wait.
Mark, can you unmute?
Yeah,
There you go.
yes. Michael, I had sent you an email about the co-chairs and voting, but it seems that has the same thing to do with this. 3 of the committees, the chair is also an executive officer. So does that mean that committee essentially doesn't vote? Outside of, because like I'm on sanitation co-chair with Jeff, but Jeff's an officer, so he's gonna be on the executive committee. And does that mean, I mean, I don't care for me personally, I'm just looking at the 3 committees that have executive officers as one of the chairs, co-chairs of that committee, so that committee doesn't vote if,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
all
let's
right, that was,
stop you there. We all need to cross-reference and see what's the next meeting. Is everybody okay with next Monday again?
I can't do that.
Okay, what do you wanna do? No, we can't wait till January.
Can we do the 12th?
I'm working late.
Okay,
I can't.
I can't. I got a pack.
can we do Wednesday, the 13th?
I can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought the 13th was a board meeting.
Yeah, they said no, we're not using it that day.
What?
What?
We're not having a bylaws committee meeting. Because we have a housing committee. that day.
Personally, the only day I have available is the 11th and the 21st.
Oh,
Me.
No, 21st is, Christmas at the precinct, so
It
I won't.
may not be.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
When did you decide that?
No, I didn't decide it, I was told. but I
Okay.
didn't
Did somebody
tell
say
you.
January?
I haven't.
Apparently that's where
Yeah,
it's
it
going.
looks like it.
Well, not a bad suggestion.
Okay.
Well, it can't be Monday the 1st.
No.
Nobody wants to do the 26th?
Oh, please.
Oh, back in
Here's
life,
your answer.
back at work, I mean, I don't get it, but is everybody else not working?
Can do anything.
I'm just asking, I thought I'm the only one that works, so.
No, I mean, I'm 26, is all right with me.
Yeah, it's not my holiday.
Hotline.
One's a-
Oh, okay, also remember.
Eddie, what's that?
What meeting the next day?
Okay,
27.
okay, I go to 4 meetings a week.
That's fine, I mean, the people who are, don't have the time to go.
Just
Oh,
let me
this
know what you
one's-
decide, okay?
It's either the 26th or into January. Does anybody have an issue with the 26th?
If it's the 26th, it has to be evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm off. I'm off that day.
I know I don't like doing meetings early, but do you wanna do 6 o'clock?
Sure.
It's up to Jack too,
It's up
but
to
Jack.
Jack.
Yeah. if he's attending.
He left us a let me know.
Check with-
Oh,
No.
Jack is,
He's a let me know.
I don't think 6 will work, I don't think it'll
course
work.
he left
because he drives everyone. He caravans.
I'll do the
Everybody
26th
knows
at 7.
Does the 26th work?
I would say the 26th at 6 and then check with Jack, and if Jack doesn't say, then we're going to 7.
Let's just leave it at 7.
Let's leave it at 7, okay?
Okay, 7 it is then.
Six.
And then when he comes back, we could talk about January.
December 26th.
Alrighty, so who's on vacation?
We're both on vacation now.
Who's we?
He's on vacation, I'm on vacation. We're both, just happens to be
And the
both.
girls on vacation?
No.
Then it's time to teach Hannah how to run a meeting
Then you know.
and letting you know. It's time for her to press a mouse.
For the law.
Well,
All right.
I mean, I know how to set it up. I can come in here and set it up.
According to the bylaw, no co-chair can be member of the executive. So it says chairs, one
Yeah.
chair, doesn't say co-chair.
No, what they do basically is the two co-chairs show up, but only one can vote. And generally they can.
So, back-
It says now.
Okay, back to our thoughts. And go back to what you were saying,
I'm saying that they should be chair of the committee and then whatever vice chair.
I like the word vice chair and
Yeah.
remove co-chair.
Vice chair.
It sounds
Because
great.
co-chair
All right.
equal. Yeah.
But you know
And then
what?
maybe make it,
I don't think people are gonna wanna be the vice chair. I think if you have a chairman, like Jeff said, I know there was a time I was in the hospital and I was chairman of a committee. And I called up a member and I said, look, do me a favor, can you please run the meeting? And that was it. He became the chair temporarily.
You delegated the,
I
Yeah.
delegated the job. That
that
was
was
it.
with Butch. Butch
That
always had
wasn't with
so
chairs.
you're saying eliminate completely co-chair?
Yes. If you can't get it done, 25 people at an executive meeting.
Yeah, but
is
you know what
ridiculous.
happens with that is there's a problem. Here's a problem. If we need business, well, yeah, you're right. You're right and wrong. A
Right,
little bit of
right.
both. You're right.
I'm wrong.
No, you're
Yeah.
right, because what you're saying is you can delegate someone
Yeah,
For the committee purposes.
for the
for the
committee
committee
purposes.
purposes, yeah.
But the point of having that was for the same reasoning, but you can do it a different way, so.
Well, no, but then you lose in case there's an executive committee that
You
needs
lose
a
a
vote. You're a vote short because
Nobody can
somebody
delegate
you appoint,
to run your
can't
meeting at that
vote.
moment, can be at the, right. Thank you, Michael.
But we still have the option of Zoom. We still have the option of technology, if need be.
No, we're not gonna go through all that in our heads. I think your point is taken, but Michael's point is taken as well. Because you cannot then say, hey, Lucy, go to the committee meeting and represent my committee, because no, only your vice chair can do that,
Okay, so,
for the executive.
all right, but right now, as it was pointed out, Mark and Jeff are co-chairs of the the Environmental Committee, right? But Jeff is actually losing one of his votes on the executive committee. You're looking at me puzzled. Think
Why
about
do I
it.
lose a vote?
You're losing one of your votes.
he only gets one vote.
He only gets one vote, but how is he voting as?
Two hats.
If he's voting as
But I'm-
first vice chair, that.
I'm voting as chair of the
So
committee.
this is, do, Mariam, when we get to
Yeah,
65,
because,
My hat is off
because as ex officio, he does not vote.
right,
Doesn't matter.
His vote
No,
doesn't count.
No.
At the
Executive.
committee.
so no,
On the
that's what I'm saying, we can change
executive.
that section back here.
Yes.
You see what it says, executive committee, section 5?
Yeah.
Each member of the executive committee it should be, it says the officers.
Yeah, it's
But
officers.
we can remove that.
At the committee meeting,
Saying,
if I was first vice chair, then my vote wouldn't count.
He's the
Right,
right of the
But I'm
committee.
chair of the committee.
Yeah.
I don't wear the hat as a first vice
Right.
chair.
Correct.
I'm not saying that, I'm saying in an executive committee meeting. How do you vote? Do you vote as chair of sanitation? Or
Yes.
does Mark vote as
No.
chair of sanitation?
As with whoever wants to vote. Sometimes I'll say, Mark, you handle it, and you vote. Or
He
he'll say,
doesn't wear his
"Lose."
two hats
one
there,
vote.
I
Mary.
don't wear
I'm
two
not
hats.
saying he
No,
wears two
but
hats, I'm
the-
saying he can
She's
lose.
right,
Yes, thank you.
but then the executive committee let's say Mark is, no offense, Mark, is out of he's not available, he's not in town.
Okay.
So then you're one vote short on the executive committee, because you're voting as either the vice president or as the chair of the committee. You can't vote twice.
No.
So then you reduce the
Right.
quorum at that meeting, at the moment.
Huh?
Don't you reduce the quorum then at that meeting at the moment? Because now you're taking away his second half.
No, but you can't reduce the quorum. The quorum is a fixed matter, many members of the committee. It's one half plus one.
If you officially create another,
He's losing the
Committee.
vote. He's losing the vote.
Losing the
That's
vote.
all. Yeah, sorry about
So
that.
you're saying then the best thing is to remove vice co-chair, whatever,
And just have
Second
chairs.
person.
Just have chairs, get rid of the co-chairs, just have chairs.
Are we on?
Yeah.
We're still on.
Yes, Mark's listening.
Except that Jackson.
but we're not making any decisions, we're having just a discussion.
We're having a
Bring it back.
discussion now.
Because if you remember this past year or last term, there was a case where two co-chairs both wanted to vote and did not. Were voting, wanted to vote, and neither one of them wanted to give up their vote.
Okay.
Okay, that's a problem with two co-chairs or chair and a co-chair,
Or if you're
both having,
both
either
on
having a vote.
opposite ends of the spectrum.
And right, that's what happened. Okay, the person is no longer a board member. Okay, but I remember that happening. Here, if we have,
Cheers.
then you wind up losing a vote. If that's for any reason the chair doesn't get.
What is-
anytime an executive officer, one of the executive officers is chair of the committee, any committee,
That has a coach,
That
you
has-
you lose a vote.
That happens.
or you make that committee mandatory to have a co-chair.
No, that's gonna
No.
get confusing.
No,
Or you don't
Wait.
make that.
but if
or
you're
you don't
trying
make them
to
the chair.
encourage, wait,
Executive officers.
no, if you're trying to encourage people to take an active role before they become an executive board member, wouldn't it be nice if they could become a chair of the committee? They could, if they have an interest, let's say in education, if they're a teacher, it would be an excellent choice for a committee
Been
chair.
there, done that, and guess what? Doesn't work.
Nothing works, but
The chair appoints chair of the board appoints who's gonna be the chair.
You're right.
No,
Does
the
it make
point, the
sense?
point that you're losing a vote at the
Executive.
executive committee.
That doesn't make sense that executive board members
cannot be.
should not be chairs. They
Right,
can be
That makes
co-chairs.
sense.
That
That
makes
makes
sense.
sense. That makes sense.
Therefore, you get
Or maybe,
Votes.
or maybe executive
Unless the
officers
chair
can't
can't
be
make
on the
it.
executive committee. How about executive officers won't be on the committee?
Well, that means they can't be
that is
chairs.
executive.
Yeah, it
committee,
is,
the executive
chairs.
office.
No, the executive.
And the committee members.
The executive committee, it consists of all the chairs and the vice, or the co-chairs of all the committees
no, we're talking about the
And the-
executive board,
and the offices.
no,
That's the purpose.
the executive board should be just the elected officers,
That's board,
That's
right?
board.
what it is.
yes.
So what I'm saying is the executive board or officers, I say officers, maybe we should reword that as well.
Yeah,
No, that's okay, go ahead.
Executive board, that consists of executive officers, because I don't wanna get it confused.
Right.
Maybe those should not be on the executive committee.
Officers.
No.
no, they have to be,
Why?
because they're,
They just shouldn't be
Well,
chair.
it's
just
automatic
shouldn't
that
be
the
chairman.
chair and the first vice chair are ex officio, period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but they don't vote in committee. But if you don't make them a chair and make them a co-chair, your votes then equal out. Then the chairman, I'm picking a name, okay, I don't care.
Yeah, I get what you're
The
saying.
group. the licensing committee, let's say, is an executive officer. If you make that executive officer the co-chair, still gets to vote as the
Officer.
Hmm?
Who gets the vote?
Okay, so
as the
no-
officer,
I
and
got
now
it.
has the vote of the committee
So no,
as well.
no executive officer or office,
Just
no
officer-
executive
officer
member
of the board.
can be a chair of a committee. They
Right,
could only be a vice chair of a committee.
Right.
I get
Or a
it.
member.
Therefore, you cover the,
Or a
Or
member.
Remember,
or a member.
Just a minute.
okay, whatever.
As long as they're not the chair.
Okay, is that better?
And
Any
that
thoughts?
solves
So let's get our
Some of
thoughts
the
back.
in the vote, yeah, just in
Okay,
the vote,
perfect.
right?
We'll bring that up next meeting. And
Yeah,
Right.
but then again, if you think about it, if you're talking about environment, okay, who's got environment committee? Okay, you have more knowledge of stuff going on the environment committee than any member that you could possibly have on that committee. That I would be ashamed to lose that.
but could he
to
be a
able to
member?
Lead it. He could be a member,
He could be a member ex officio.
but to lead the discussion,
Be a member,
you want
period.
somebody with knowledge.
Right, I mean, I have discussions with Eddie, I want this person here from the city agency to be at this meeting, blah, 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 I want the report.
Yeah.
My point is, though, you're able with your knowledge
Understand what I'm saying?
to teach the members of the committee
Yeah.
that don't have your background in.
I agree with this even further that because now it gives other people opportunities to be on a top title.
Yeah,
So, for example, he's chairing a committee and he's also an executive officer. And now it gives someone else the opportunity to be a chair of a
and
committee.
he can still be a very
Yeah.
active member of
Yeah,
the committee.
absolutely.
But your two positions are interesting because you're automatically, again, ex officio members, but you don't go to
Of all
all committees.
This is not what Jeff said. Jeff said that it's the member of the committee,
Yeah,
appointed member of the committee. You
Right.
can vote on the committee. As ex officio,
Right.
you cannot vote.
Correct.
But those two, they ex officio, on any committee they want to,
Mhm.
based on their titles.
right,
Right?
Right.
So the point is that he wants to be a member of the committee to be able to vote
right.
on the regular committee. And then not being a chair of that committee, somebody else who represent that committee, you have extra vote, not extra, but vote on the executive committee. And he can vote on executive as the first vice.
Okay, guys, staff has been here long enough.
Okay.
It's almost 9:30. Give them a little respect.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned, second. It's second.
In case you didn't know, they adjourned the meeting.